This is my first time doing something like this, and it's going to be bad enough that I'm going to have to do it in my telephone voice and at half speed so that our English brothers have a remote chance of understanding what I'm trying to say. I have to confess that I've never attended a formal burn supper and therefore had to go and look up what's expected from the toast of the Lassies. My hopes were immediately dashed when I realised it had nothing to do with that incredible dog who saves so many children from abandoned mine shafts every year. So to right that wrong, if you please raise your glass. Like a dog. Following my extensive research, the sources that I came across states that the toast is designed to praise the role of women in the world today. This should be done by selected quotation from Burns's work and should build towards a positive note. This is when I realised that the previous 2 evenings I spent laughing to myself in a dark corner while scrolling through crude and sexist jokes may have not been the most ideal preparation, and therefore I was back at the drawing board. I then sat back and thought to myself, what was it that made this Robbie Burns lad so special that people worldwide come together to celebrate him each year? My findings showed that there were 2 things to which our Baird excelled at. Firstly, the skill that resonates with the ladies is his poetry and graceful way with words. The second and most important, he is highly regarded by men for being a master of seduction with the Lassies and his ingenious ways of getting away with it by composing lovey-dovey confessions of his rogue-like ways. The man's a genius. Imagine that tactic being used by us in today's world, gentlemen. Picture this. My darling wife, I have to confess, I have been unfaithful. But please, hear me out, fill the jets. Through this poem I've written in order to redeem myself, and earn your forgiveness.
That would work.
It was a Saturday night when I was down in the Killie. I seen a beautiful lass and felt a twinge in my willy. I jumped up from my seat and fell to the ground and then landed back to her as we then fooled around. Instead of being lauded, gentlemen, we would be left homeless, penniless and divorced. Anyway, upon this newfound knowledge I now have of Mr. Burns, and feeling somewhat inspired, I thought to myself, how hard can this poetry malarkey be? So gents, may I ask that you sit back, buckle up, strap yourselves in. Oh, no.
Mr. P.
No, it's Mr. Line. Can't remember it now. As I give this toast a unique say no laugh spin, we beside Rab Burns and put that quill down. It's 2024, and Phipps is in town. The toast to the Lassies are tribute to the women in our lives, whether that be mothers, daughters, girlfriends or wives. For years men have tried and continue to fail to understand women and the traits they entail. The perfect woman is merely a myth, even if she were designed by Hiram Abiff. For centuries, men have tried a number of ways to please our lassies for easier days. Centuries have passed and more rights they've obtained, like jumping naked out of a plane. And as they hurtle down to the ground, it's us men that endure that horrible whistling sound. The Me Too movement was a...
Oh, I'm trying to realise sleeping next to
The Me Too movement was a confusing watch, as us men only dream of a woman grabbing our crotch. Gender equality and equal pay are the rights women have fought for all of their way. They picked their battles and won their wars, yet they still aren't happy and are needing more. What can we do, I hear you ask? Pleasing a woman is a thankless task. At last here we have our celebrated bard, who could impregnate a lass through a Valentine's card. Silky smooth lines and well-chosen words were like a magical spell that was cast on the birds. A piece of paper and a stroke of his quill was the female equivalent of the wee blue pill. Surely just words cannot make a lass undress. There must be more to Ravi's success. Old Ravi did give his secret away when he penciled the words to 9-inch would please the lady. Come on, Rab, give us a break. As I disappointingly looked down at my own trouser snake. You're a magician with words and well endowed. You're a magician with words and well endowed. Well, the rest of us can't find it without raking around. It was clear to me that I could not relate how Burns wooed women at an alarming rate. But the one thing that stood out loudly and clearly was that Burns considered all his women dearly. You not spend time with quill in hand to write so eloquently about a one-night stand. Burns, though encapsulated by the physical beauty, knew a woman's importance to the larger society. And this, when he wrote, to which I will directly quote, while Europe's eyes fixed on mighty things, the fate of empires and the fall of kings, while quacks of state must each produce his plan, and even children lisp the rights of man, Amid his mighty fuss, just let me mention, the rights of women merit some attention. Women do far more work, and the stats they all show it, that not much has changed and the women all know it. But facts just aren't funny, and this verse is proof, so I'll back to the gags and skirt around the truth. Rabbi's success with women should come as a warning to others, as he fathered 12 children with 4 different mothers. No cost of living crisis or CSA to pay when needlessly speeding your seed back in the day. I often do wonder how Burns would be portrayed if he were alive at present, living here in the Bay. Sat in the killie, giving the barmaid a glance, conspiring the words that might drop her pants. Burns is not one to get drunk and sleepy, but horny and handsy and just plain creepy. His handwritten poems are not worth a damn unless he posted them on TikTok or Instagram. Word would get out about his promiscuous ways, with the headlines published in the P&J, 12 kids and counting, a benefits cheat, while poor Burns hides out in his house down on Main Street. He would struggle for work before being picked up by the Buccaneer, writing articles for locals and events within the community, spending hours writing chapter and verse about someone's dog who was run down by a hearse, or about local youths setting fire to bins, which would not fulfil Burns' creative passion within. No more poems about Bonnie Leslie and her golden locks, but rather Sharon in her pyjamas cruising around the Brock. Over time, Burns may see that the modern maidens are wild and free. No more shackles will prevent to speak. The lassies now are not mistaken for being weak. They rule countries, companies, and have dreams whilst rearing children and keeping the house clean. They're incredible beings which us men strongly rely. For their comfort, support, they're the glint in our eyes. At times we find them hard to understand, but lassies are often the backbone of every great man. So gents, on this note, I would like to ask that you all stand up and raise your glass. For all the women who make us happy, please give a toast to the lassies.